Testing, testing, testing. JB here, September 25th, 2023. It's about 12:20 here on this Monday. Let me just get this audio set. Just going to get on really quick, talk about the markets, obviously, a little bit about some individual names, ULTA, LULU, Weight Watchers, and go from there. First, take a look at the markets last week, and I think I did two rants last week. I always say I don't have my bear suit on per se, but definitely concerned when the small caps broke through its 200-day moving average. Went and got some IWM puts, and then started looking at some individual names. So had some Lulu puts and ULTA puts. Lulu puts from last week didn't pay out. Hopefully they'll pay out today. But was able to lock some of my ULTA puts in this morning. Locked in the rest of my weekly strikes on the IWMs this morning as well, and then still have some October puts on IWM. But at some point, you take a look at the SPY. We broke 430 this morning in the pre-market, all the way down to 428, and then started to bounce. And it's the SPY has been below its lower Bollinger Band for the last two sessions. It's fourth now. It's 431.66 is a lower Bollinger Band, so we're right above that now. So like a snapback reversal. I really, if you take a look what happened last week, and I said this a couple times on the watch list as well, the way that Powell was answering the questions during the Q&A just uh, did not give me any confidence that I think that the market's headed higher in the short term. And of course there'll be bounces, but I think either we chop here or we find some more pressure down to 420 or even down to 415, which is the 200-day moving average on the SPY, and then maybe we can find a workable bounce. Historically weak seasonality here at the end of September and into October. It's the worst performing days of the entire year right now. So you have the historical side, you have the government shutdown headlines, which look like that might be alleviated at some point this week. And there's no real catalyst. We have the PCE data on Friday, which is the preferred inflation gauge for the Fed. It's late, so it's for August, and we're at the end of September. So a lot of that's already baked in with the CPI and PPI numbers we already got. So I don't even know, even if it comes in hotter than expected, probably not going to do much for markets. And then on Thursday, Powell, he has a town hall Zoom meeting with teachers across the country. I don't know what he's going to talk about. It looks like it's a Q&A. Who knows if those are prepared questions that he's going to answer. Considering he just answered questions from the press last week, I don't know really how much he could say that's going to change the course of markets, unless we have a big sell-off today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, because it's 4 p.m. on Thursday after hours. If there's a big sell-off, then he'll probably have to address some of those concerns, and I would think he would kind of walk back a little bit at some of his speech from last week and some of the questions that he answered where it was hawkish, so it just didn't bode well, I thought, for the markets. But here we are bouncing, SPY's in the green, small caps are up nearly 0.5%. Do I think we have a sustained rally today and tomorrow? I mean, it's possible, sure, but I think this is just short term, and then we'll see more pressure back into the 420s on the SPY. So that's the market for now. Not going to go crazy on either side. I was actually looking at Roku, and Roku seems to bounce every morning and then sell off. And one of those times it's going to hold. I think the stock is down 9 of the past 10 sessions. Let's see if I can pull that up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of the past 12 sessions is the stock is closed lower. And that's after its news. It raised its guidance, cut staff. Stock ran all the way up to 95 and change. I had some calls, paid off nice. I still have some strikes, unfortunately, but at some point maybe I'll look to revisit that. You had the writer strike and the actor strike getting resolved, so you saw some bids in Netflix. And Netflix is actually still in the green here. Roku all the way up to 71.50, but I guess in a nutshell, I'm not looking to add any longer term call positions right now. I'll probably look for speculative trades, unless it's in names like WW or VKTX, which I think have some opportunity even if the market has some weakness. Speaking of VKTX, they just posted a headline 15 minutes ago. VKTX is currently down 11 consecutive days, on track for its longest losing streak. So it's down 12 of the past 13 days, 11 consecutive days, down 22.5% over that time frame. VKTX is going to have some positive, well, you would hope, some data out on its oral solution for GLP-1 solution. So if that comes out positive, I think the stock trades up into the 20s again, if not higher. Still surprised that that name has not been spoken about, at least as a possible acquisition target, considering what's going on in that sector. But that's kind of that in a nutshell. So I'm going to keep things kind of small. So take a look at ULTA, and I was looking for a break under, I called it the trap door, 402, 403. Let's see if I can pull my chart up. And I should have this screen share, but 402, 403 was its low back in June. Came down to almost test that back at the end of August, and then finally broke through on Friday. And it was trading around 403 for almost the entire session. And then right at the end of the day, it started to break through that handle. Hindsight, I was trying to get some out, but I wanted to get out for at least 100% to cover cost. It gave me that opportunity this morning, so locked some of those puts in for nearly 100%. I'll probably hold the rest pending it gets back to 403 today. If it gets to 403, maybe I'll lock the rest in and revisit. But I think at some point this gets down into the 380s, 385 handle, and probably in a very short period of time if the market finds more weakness. So kind of thought process there. LULU fits in that same category. It's been selling off since strong earnings reports. Broke under, it was 393, then it sold off down to 383 last week. Positive analyst commentary. I think there was two analysts came out with upgrades and positive notes on it. Goes all the way back up to 393 and then just sold off. I think Friday was it 390. Yeah, it was 390, 392. It closed on Friday. Well, 387 it closed at, but it was all the way up to 392 in the afternoon before it selling off, and then gapping down here on no news, down to 378. As I put it on the watch list, on the Twitter feed, that if it finds its way back to 382, 383 today, I'll probably look to close the puts out I added this morning. Just want to have a short leash because who knows? You can always have some analysts come out again tomorrow morning, upgrade the stock, and then those puts, which are pretty close to, for me, at least for how I trade, pretty close to in the money, would take a serious hit. So I'll be pretty quick on the trigger to lock the LULU position in. But again, I don't think it's a micro story with LULU and ULTA. They've both been posting great results. I think it's the market trying to be a little more forward-looking, thinking that discretionary income has been coming down. People aren't going to be flocking to LULU and ULTA products like they have over the last couple of years. At least there'll be a short-term dip in some of those names in regards to their revenue. So that's kind of the thought process on those names. Said this on the rant last week, so I'm probably just regurgitating some things here. Oh, so Weight Watchers, and it's taken me some time to kind of put this due diligence piece together, and I'm still working on it. Hopefully maybe today or tomorrow I'll have it out. But what great news yesterday, on Friday afternoon, you had the Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan adjusting their requirements to get prescriptions and coverage for weight loss drugs. You have to go through you have to have proof of 6 months of, I would call it, let's see what it's exactly what the wording. I just want the wording. So you have to provide proof of some type of, they call it weight loss therapy. So pretty much a program to monitor your weight and whether it's diet, exercise, combination of both. You have to have proof that you underwent that treatment for 6 months before you're eligible to get a prescription for weight loss drugs. And it's just that area. I don't even know how much coverage Michigan Blue Cross Blue Shield is, how many people that entails, but you have to think that starts to set a precedent for some of these other insurers, and that's going to be kind of a requirement going forward. Some of them already have some requirements, but the fact that they mention Weight Watchers in there and just kind of legitimizes their business, and then it's going to force people into that ecosystem. People who want to lose weight and get prescriptions for these drugs going to be members of Weight Watchers, and then that's going to get them into that system, and then they're going to find it's a great community. Not only is it going to help them become more healthy by diet and exercise and things like that, and a community, but also give them those options to get the clinical side, which would be the GLP-1 solutions. So I think there's just another notch in the bull case for Weight Watchers, and I'm still surprised. Last week you had Oprah, who's still a director and stakeholder in Weight Watchers, had a part of her series, I forget what the name of it was called, the State of the Weight. She actually had the CEO of Weight Watchers as part of the group, which I have not listened to it, but supposedly she said she's not going to take Ozempic or Wegovy or Mounjaro or one of those drugs because she thinks it's the easy way out of weight loss, which is kind of surprising. But to think that the stock is up from $4 this year all the way up to 12, well, it was 11 and change, and on none of her comments, and then it sells off 30% because she says that. I mean, to me, I just think it's shorts taking advantage of whatever the case may be. So, of course, I wish it was back here at $12, 11 to change or $12, but I think that's where it's headed. I think that news was just the tip of the iceberg of where things are going, and you start looking into 2024. I think it's just a bullish setup. And then the other side of it too, as well, is that you have the supply issues with these drugs. So now that 6 month waiting period, supply is going to catch up while you're doing the 6 months of being a member of Weight Watchers. So it just kind of gives Weight Watchers the ammunition to say, hey, sign up now. We have this sequence solution, which is going to help you get the prescription, help you get coverage, reimbursement. They cover all that, and then we're going to get you on your journey for weight loss, provide the community and things like that. So I just, I hate it. It's a very volatile name. So for me to say, wow, I think it's going $30, $40, it's easy to say, but you can see how the swings are. It's going to shake out, even if it does go to $15, maybe it goes back down to 12, and then goes up to 18, and then back down to 16. It's not going to be an easy hold. So for me, I'm just going to continue to look for opportunities to add some later dated strikes. 2024s, the Januaries were actually green for a little while it was up at $12, and I didn't even look today to see what those, it has April's now. So I mean, April 25 2250s look interesting on a risk reward basis. If I think it's going to 30 into January, the 2250s at 60, you're talking at least a 15-20 bagger if it gets up there by the time the year is out. I was trying to think of some of the other little tidbits that I'm writing on. I just the more I look at it, the more I see. She had a quote when she went to acquire it. She said she wants to help Weight Watchers bring its traditional in-person communities online. And here's the person who founded House Party was acquired by Epic and created a social community platform that from nothing. And then this person who used Weight Watchers, the CEO now of Weight Watchers, she actually reached out to Weight Watchers saying, hey, I want to lead your company. And at the time, they didn't need her, but then they went back and touched base with her and then got her to be CEO. So it's not like they went and did a great search for a leader at Weight Watchers. She contacted them, and this is after she had already been successful, and she sees an opportunity for taking the community that they have been known for over the past 60 years, which is brick and mortar, and turning that into the online community. And right now, I think 80% or so of their member base, they have 4.1 million members, is just doing the online. The other 20% is doing the brick and mortar, but they used to have 3,000 brick and mortar locations that would have the face-to-face meetings. That's down to 800. So now it's cutting costs. Think of the margins going up as they start getting rid of some of these locations. The ones that they've gotten rid of are the ones that were month-to-month rent. Now the leases, once those start rolling off, the margins start going up. It's just such a great story, in my opinion. And I think it's one of those turnaround stories. I use comparisons with Blockbuster. I remember Netflix when it was 2007. They started rolling out the streaming, and it was just a DVD to home service, which at the time was still the DVD to home was a revelation. You put the DVDs in your mailbox, and then 2 days later you're getting the next episode of whatever series. Set up your queue on the computer, and then they went to streaming, and it took a couple months. Well, actually, it was a couple years for Netflix for folks to really understand. Wow, this streaming is the next stage of growth for television and movies. And at that time, it was just movies. There were television shows and stuff, but it wasn't where it is now with the new content. But it was just a tip of the iceberg. And Netflix had traded between 20 and 30 from like 2005 to 2008. 2009, and then it just went from 30 and just went all the way up to $200 in a very short period of time as people start to understand the story. And then I'm trying to think the time when Blockbuster went out, but Blockbuster approached them, and so I'm not the best analogy, but I'm similar. I'm looking at Weight Watchers. They're going from being an archaic platform to the future, digital and virtual and all those buzzwords. But that's what she's going to do, and she's making the hard choices of Weight Watchers used to be anti-drugs, anti-anything but traditional, just eating less and being healthy. Now they've kind of, I wouldn't say shunned it, but they're going to embrace other options that may work for people. So that was a hard choice. She's made that hard choice. Anyway, I can go on a rant for a while, but that's the gist of what I'm trying to put together. But the company still has 1.2 billion in debt. But once those margins start going up, they start growing the subscribers. Um, the digital side of it, where they can really, and then the other side of it is these GLP-1 drugs. They're starting to see other benefits to them. The cardiovascular. Now you see the diabetes side. You start losing weight. People, Weight Watchers, they were added to the Abbott's app for diabetes. So now you look at Weight Watchers, they've already changed their names or the stigma. They want to be known as Weight Health, so not Weight Watchers. And eventually they just might be called Health, and they might encompass all those different options. And then you look at the enterprise too. You start seeing companies going, part of their benefits package will be make sure Weight Watchers included as an option. And I mean, there's so many different things. And so I look at the addressable market, and I think 50% of the entire U.S. population is going to be considered obese, which is a 25 BMI. I guess that's what the threshold is. And I mean, so this stuff's not going away. And if you take a look at companies that are on the forefront of taking advantage of this, I just think that's their front and center. So that's Weight Watchers. I'm trying to think of some other names. Again, I put on the watch list this morning. At some point, we're going to have some kind of bounce, and we're getting it a little bit here today. Who knows if it lasts? But I'll be looking at some of the oversold names, and I mentioned Roku already. I'm trying to think of some of these other names that are really. Wix was a name back under the 200-day moving average. I mean, the 50-day, right here in the green. Right up here at $90. Another great story. I think at some points back over $100. And I guess you could call this almost, if it got down to 85, it'd be a nice triple bottom. That's a great story. I'm trying to think of some of these others. I'll have to pull up some oversold scans today and see if I can find some to put on watch. But I want to see some things shake out here. And who knows? It looks like now we're pulling back. We'll see if this holds today. What else? Oh, earnings season starts in the middle of October. So again, the catalyst side, you look, no Fed meeting again until the start of November. Earnings don't really kick in till mid-October. So we're kind of in a lull besides all these outlier headlines, which government catalysts, the government shutdown, all these other crazy headlines that are going on. So, over the weekend, right, was there a lot of folks posting about this, overlaying the charts. So if you take a look at 1987, and then you look at and I could probably pull this up in a second. If you take a look at 1987, and then you look at right now, October, the charts are very similar. This setup we have. Let's see if I can pull up 1987, put on there. 1987, do I have it? No, do I? Oh, I go down to 1990? No. Oh, you know why? Sorry, folks, just let's see if I can pull that up. People are posting that this weekend, the overlays of 1987 and October before the Black Monday, and right now say, oh, it's setting up. But it's so easy to do that. There's been so many of those chart overlays over the years where people start, especially as things start to pull back, that's when it starts rearing its head. People like to do the fear mongering, then you start getting the clickbait articles, and then kind of makes people think, especially if you're long positions. Uh-oh, here we go. But, I've said it before. I never like to be caught with my pants down. So when I see indexes and, the SPY or small caps start breaking support, that's when I look to not be as aggressive on the call side and look to get put hedges. And then eventually, if we really start selling off, then I try and get out or salvage what I can on the call side and get a little more aggressive on the put side. But, it's always, you can make, if we have a big crash, you make so much in those 2 days than you can make on calls for a year and a half. But at the same token, if you're all in calls, you get wiped out. So it's a tough game to play. But options are tough anyway. I think that's it, folks. 12:40 here. Thanks for listening. I'll try and get on audio later today or tomorrow. Hopefully I'll have this little piece out. I could dictate it to you, but it's almost done. I'll have that on Weight Watchers, and maybe I'll give it a little more exposure. People might actually read this stuff and kind of understand the thought process behind why I think at some point Weight Watchers 25, 30, if not higher. And by the way, it was in 2018, it was a $100 stock or $110. So when it was trading down to $4 at the start of the year, it was a 95% decline in the stock, which is pretty remarkable. Anyway, let's have a great day, folks. Rock and roll.